State lawmakers are now asking questions after a missed deadline dropped one murder suspect's bail by more than $700,000. And it's the first home game of the season for Austin's football club. A live look from the ground and how fans are feeling about the game. But first, let's talk about the weather. Those fans, they're in for maybe not a treat.
Yeah, really cold. If you could zoom in there, you'd probably see some bundled up fans with the match. You know, we're talking 30s and 40s with some rain. Chilly today and raw, especially with that drizzle. We actually had some freezing rain this morning, just a few hundredths of an inch out and about. That did quickly melt, and then by the afternoon, we kind of kept that colder, raw look. Let's pull up the graphics right now and get going into the forecast. So right now in Austin, currently, let's talk about the temperature. 42, winds are light and variable. Cloudy skies has been the name of the game. East of I-35, we're still seeing the showers and rain activity. Farther west toward the hill country where they've been dry, it's actually much warmer in the low 50s at this hour. So the match is going to be cold, as we mentioned, upper 30s, low 40s. Those rain chances hovering around 30 to 40% through most of the game. Precipitation drops off through very early tomorrow morning. But dense fog is also going to be building back in, so reduced visibility past midnight through tomorrow morning. Here are the temperatures. They're pretty much where they are right now in terms of the lows. I think farther out west will cool down much more toward Llano, San Saba, Lampasas, and Mason counties, 33 in Fredericksburg. So cold and raw this evening, as we mentioned. Sunshine building back in by tomorrow afternoon. Of course, the big forecast question is if we get sunshine, we could be hitting the mid-60s tomorrow. And then beyond that, how about Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday? I have 70s back in the forecast. Nabil?
All right, nice to see those warmer temperatures, certainly. But the problem is the game is tonight, Austin FC with their home opener. And that's where we find Kevin Bosker. And it's pretty cold out there. He's got a recap of what people are going to be dealing with. You can already see the lines out there. Let's go out and see what he had to see this afternoon.
It's game day here at Q2 Stadium. Austin FC will be playing quite shortly here tonight. And, well, the fans, they're already lining up. Take a look right behind me. We're already see a line of fans outside the gate ready to go, all excited. And, you know, there was actually a lot of talk in terms of what the weather will be like coming into tonight's game. And I can tell you right now, while it is a little chilly, it's not that bad. There's a little bit of rain, a little misty, nothing too much to worry about as of now. Now, heading into this game, a lot of people are excited about the new faces that Austin FC has to offer. Well, we have a new head coach and, of course, some star-studded firepower players getting added on to the team this year. So it's going to be really interesting to see how Austin FC will play tonight. They play tonight against Sporting Kansas City at 7:30. That's when kickoff is. Reporting here from Q2 Stadium, my name is Kevin Bosker.
All right, Vatican says Pope Francis is in critical condition. An update today said the Pope experienced a severe asthmatic respiratory crisis this morning. Additionally, blood tests also showed symptoms associated with anemia, which required a blood transfusion for Pope Francis. The Vatican said the Holy Father continues to be alert and spent the day in an armchair, although he was in more pain than yesterday. Vatican News reported that medical professionals say the Pope is not in danger of death, but is not completely out of danger and will need to be hospitalized further. 6 hostages held by Hamas were released today in exchange for 600 Palestinian prisoners. This was the 7th and final exchange as part of the first phase of the Israel-Hamas ceasefire agreement. The 600 Palestinian prisoners set to be released will be the largest group since the start of the ceasefire and will include 151 prisoners with life or high sentences and 445 detainees taken from Gaza since October 7th. Well, following a missed deadline by the Travis County District Attorney's Office, murder suspect Stephen Morrison saw an $800,000 bond reduced to just $100. Court documents showed the bond reduced for Morrison occurred because the state did not secure an indictment for him within 90 days. Now, according to records filed by Morrison's attorney, bail must be reduced to something that the defendant can afford when this happens. Prosecutors secured an indictment on the 91st day, and the bond was then increased to $100,000. But this case put a spotlight on the issue, and now Senator Sarah Eckhart wants to know how many missed deadlines there have been. Her office sent us this statement saying Senator Eckhart, who previously served as the assistant Travis County attorney for 8 years, has been in touch with the district attorney about the reports emerging from his office. She has sought clarity about the number of times deadlines have been missed, as well as wanting to know how the district attorney plans to remedy the issue moving forward. She continues to gather information about about this situation. But in her talks with the district attorney and other stakeholders, concerns about fairness, integrity, and public accountability have not been resolved. We reached out to Jose Garza's office for comment as well, but we've not heard back. A deportation hub is being planned at Fort Bliss as Trump administration ramps up plans to use military installations to detain documented immigrants. That's according to reporting from the New York Times. The move would be a, quote, drastic escalation by the White House to militarize immigration enforcement, the New York Times reported. The hub at Fort Bliss could eventually hold up to 10,000 undocumented immigrants as they go through the process of being deported. According to our partners at Border Report, the Trump administration has been using Biggs Army Airfield at Fort Bliss for deportation flights. Parents, teachers, and staff rallying downtown. Why they're asking for a major increase to school funding and millions of dollars for improvements for an area of downtown Austin. How you can help decide where that money goes. Austin transportation leaders have earmarked more than $12 million for improvements in the Seaholm district downtown, and they're seeking public feedback on which elements to keep. The funding comes from the Seaholm district's Tax Increment Reinvestment Zone, or TIRZ, which was created in 2008. When that TIRZ closed in December of 2023, city officials reallocated $12.5 million from the zone towards improvements in the area. Part of those dollars could go towards closing power plant drive to through traffic, which would transform the roadway to a pedestrian plaza. Other considerations include a possible trail connection, in the median between the power plant drive and 3rd Street. Community members can weigh in on 4 design options on the table, thanks to a community survey open through March 23rd. We've got a link to that survey if you want to weigh in, and details on an in-person pop-up event on March 1st. That's all over at KXAN.com.
We've set multiple record low and also record low high days this past week, but that will change to close out the second month of the year. We could be talking about 80s in Central Texas. We'll discuss this on my full forecast. That's coming up in just a bit.
Parents and teachers joining together to rally for more school funding. At a rally downtown held by Save Texas Schools, a statewide public school advocacy group, parents, teachers, and faculty raised concerns about Governor Abbott's push to pass education savings accounts, as well as calling for higher per student funding allotments. One attendee says it's a problem impacting not just teachers.
Right now, 80 to 90% of the money that goes into schools goes into the people who take care of our kids. So not just teachers, cafeteria workers, counselors, aides, custodians, staffers. Those are essential, and if we focus too much on teachers, and our teachers are 10,000 below the national average, but raising the basic allotment gives us the money that we can use to pay all of the other people in our schools that support our kids.
And Governor Abbott has taken to X to share his thoughts on education savings accounts, saying, for those spreading lies that Texas hasn't increased public school funding since 2019, you're wrong. Last session, Texas provided over $6 billion in new funding for public education, and this year we're set to provide over $5 billion more. Texas fully funds our schools. All right, changing gears to weather here. It's a cold one out there, but there's a bright spot on the horizon, maybe some warmer temperatures.
Yeah, that's right. Near 80 degrees for a few days this upcoming work week. It's been really cold and, of course, drizzly today. And we had a few hundredths of an inch of some freezing rain accumulation, if you can believe it. It was slick this morning. We warmed back up, though, to the low 40s by the afternoon hours. As a matter of fact, we have had over a week now of colder than normal temperatures. 30s earlier this week. How about 29 on Wednesday? Remember that? And starting off February, night and day difference. We had a record high 87 just a few weeks ago, and since then, 2 weeks later, it's been in the 40s, rainy and raw today. These cooler than normal temperatures, they will clear out as a warming trend occurs through much of the lower 48 in a quiet weather pattern to close out February and to kick off March. Here's how it looks right now locally. 42 in Austin, 41 in Georgetown, 52 in San Saba. Whereas much drier today, we saw just a little bit of clearing and also warmer temperatures. And then east of I-35, all of us in the lower 40s at this hour. Big picture is fog builds back in. Rain chances stay around 30 to 20% through the evening, with our temperatures in the upper 30s and low 40s. High resolution model through the overnight hours. Look at the temperatures. They will stay in the upper 30s, low 40s overnight tonight. Starting off your Sunday morning with some clouds, turning to sunshine. And if the clouds break pretty quickly, we could get back up into the mid 60s here in the Austin metro area. So tomorrow, here's the day planner: 38 by 7 a.m. by noon, 50, and then partly cloudy skies by the afternoon, 62 degrees. That's my official high in downtown Austin. East of I-35, upper 50s, and where we see a little bit more clearing, I'm going with upper 60s, near 70 out toward Llano, San Saba, Gillespie, and Mason County. Winds will be pretty much calm. Our normal high for this time of year is 68. Look at the rain chance across the next few days. We will be bone dry. We're going to have a nice pattern change, keeping us on the warm side and dry. Our next cold front arriving, though, sometime early Thursday morning. All of the rain is more toward eastern Texas through the deep south. And then through next weekend, things are looking overall no big impacts rain-wise. High temperature trend. Low 60s on Sunday, back up to the mid 70s on Monday, near 80 Tuesday and Wednesday. Then there's that front, drops us down to the upper 60s on Thursday, and then back up into the 70s with some sunshine next Friday into Saturday. And beyond the next week, Climate Prediction Center says warmer than normal with higher confidence toward the southwestern part of the Lone Star State. But most of us dealing with temperatures, this would mean 70s beyond the next week or so. So patchy fog builds in. We'll stay drizzly through the evening hours tonight. Winds will be calm. Our low is 38, even though we're near that right now. And tomorrow, low 60s, depending on how much clearing we can get. That could be a little bit warmer, but I'm staying on the conservative side and saying low 60s for the most part. Some computer models are trying to say mid to upper 60s, but we will hit 70s though by Monday, maybe near 80 on Tuesday and Wednesday. Those overnight lows finally going from the 20s and 30s to the 40s and even 50s early Wednesday morning. Our next front arriving Wednesday into Thursday, cooling us back down to the upper 60s on Thursday, and then 70s returning next Friday and Saturday.
This is KXAN Sports, brought to you by Thomas J. Henry.
Well, good evening and happy Saturday, everyone. Texas baseball is off to a good start in the Jim Schlossnagle era, sitting at 3-1 after a close win over Dartmouth yesterday. Today was game 2 against the Big Green at Dish Field. Luke Harrison got the start, first inning. Dartmouth with a runner on second. It's a shot to second base, and Casey Borba earns the error, and Dartmouth takes a 1-0 lead in the first inning. The Horns tied the game at 1 off a wild pitch. Now here in the 6th inning, Dartmouth leading 2-1. Will Gasparino with the shot just past the ear of Adrian Rodriguez's ear. And listen, he's hustling around that base path to tie the game at 2 apiece. And yeah, they're happy right there in the dugout. Next inning, runner on first, Max Ballou pops it so high in the air that both fielders miss it. It lands in between both of them in shallow center, continues to roll out. The run scores for the Longhorns, and now they lead 3-2. And in the 8th inning, bases loaded for Dartmouth, and Max Grubb says, hey, take a seat. A huge strikeout, and Texas wins game 2 the same way they won game 1 yesterday by just 1 point. Game 3 tomorrow at noon. And softball lost their first game of the season to Stanford yesterday, and they're in action again today for a doubleheader in the Hildebrand Invitational in Arizona. Game 1 against UC Davis. First inning, Reese Atwood to the plate. Runners in scoring position, and one of her 2 RBIs gave the Horns a 1-0 lead. Atwood moved into 4th all-time at UT and runs batted in. In the 3rd inning, Vanessa Quiroga with the bases loaded. Fielder going back and has no more real estate. It's a grand slam. Texas takes a 9-0 lead. It was a 12-0 shutout win for Cam Salmon with 9 strikeouts and just 1 hit allowed in the game. Softball is currently in action for game 2 of the doubleheader against Arizona. I'll have those highlights later tonight, but right now they are tied at 3 apiece. So it's pretty dramatic out there in Arizona. Texas men's basketball are back in action later today. I've got the preview coming up after the break. Well, you're taking a live look now at Q2 Stadium as Austin FC is about an hour away from their season opener against Sporting Kansas City. Good evening, I'm Levon Whitaker, and the wait is just about over for the start of the season at Q2 Stadium. You look right here behind me, about 56 minutes away from the season opener. Cars are in the parking lot. Fans are still walking in right now as the club is preparing to get underway. The club won 11 games last season, And they're excited to get started tonight against Sporting KC, a club that won only 8 games last season. We spoke with head coach of FC earlier this week to get his thoughts on how he and his team are feeling as they prepare for today's match.
The first game is always like a little bit not pretty, you know. I want you put in all the effort all day there, then find the mix that we don't come flat to the game, you know. It doesn't have to be pretty, but we have to be there, trying to be the team that put more to win the game.
Well, hopefully they can come out here and showcase and have a good showing today for the season opener. The men basketball team are coming off an 82-78 win over previously 15th ranked Kentucky at the Moody Center last week. Today they're on the road, getting ready to face South Carolina at 7:30 tonight. The Gamecocks have not won a game in the SEC, so a lot is riding on this game for the Longhorns. And we talked to head coach Rodney Terry this week about tonight's game and how important it is for his team to get this win.
You know, anytime you win in this league, you have it for one night. You lose in this league, you have it for one night. But if you're able to work the game for 40 minutes and beat a team that's coming off a good win, you know, against a quality team in Tennessee, you know, you got to feel great about that. But again, you only have it for one night, and it's on to the next challenge.
Listen, you only hope that they can come out here and beat a team that hasn't won a game in the SEC. I mean, it should be pretty easy for them, you would imagine, but you just never know the way this season has gone for the Longhorns and Rodney Terry. So
I was going to say, and South Carolina, that's a tough team. All their losses, almost all, they've come by 2-3 points. So this is a game you got to take seriously. At home in South Carolina, that's a tough place to play.
Absolutely.
All right, we're talking about weather. My earpiece just fell out, so I don't know how much time we have, so take it away.
Thanks to Bill. Yeah, final look here at the first morning weather 7-day forecast. We're going to get a bit of a warm-up tomorrow. If we clear out earlier in the morning, we can reach the mid to upper 60s, and then 70s Tuesday and Wednesday. Our next front arrives early Thursday morning, back down to the upper 60s again. But next weekend's looking nice and great. We know baseball and other sports are starting back up, and spring activities, outdoor farmers markets, things like that. No rain expected through the next 7 days.
I was going to say, I wait every year for Christmas Day, and I feel like Christmas Day starts tomorrow with those temperatures.
I'll wrap this up since you can't hear the cues. All right, thanks for watching. You can join us tonight at CW Austin at 9 or also 10 at KXAN. Have a good evening.